Hello chess friends, and welcome to Jozarov's chess channel, and welcome to my series analyzing games by my subscribers. So this series was called Before Chess Unites the World, and I decided to rename it, so it will be analyzed games by my subscribers. Today I wanted to show you a good game played by one of my subscribers, Brock Henley. He's from the USA, he's from Louisiana. It's not his fault that he's from Louisiana. Sorry about the little joke. I talked with Brock today, and I hope he doesn't mind. I told him that I'm gonna make that joke in the video, so I really hope that he's not too angry with me. But as I promised, I'll publish more and more games on my YouTube chess channels played by you guys, by my subscribers, and I think we will have a great series because it's not about to show the best games. I think we can all learn something out of these games, and I also will not choose the perfect games that are played. The mistakes in these games are very important because I want to show you some tricks, skills, and some improvements in your own games, because I think we all can search for improvements. I myself, of course, also. But this game of Brock Henley's, I decided to show you maybe 2 or 3 important elements of the chess game. I think they're really important because sometimes you can have a decisive advantage in your middle game and you don't know how to make progress, how to win the game very effectively, very easily. And let's see the game, and I think it's still a good game, although it's a blitz game. It doesn't matter, you can post me, of course, also your blitz games. You can really send me as many of your own games. I'll try to publish as much as I can, but I hope you understand, I cannot publish all of them. I'll pick one or two in the next couple of weeks, and I'll try to analyze it. Today it's Brock's time. Today we'll see what happened in his game. So here we have c4 played by Brock. His opponent played c5. He played the English opening, knight on c3, and I talked with Brock about this game. He told me that he's feeling much more comfortable while playing c4. Then he used to play the move d4, but I told him that it's probably because of that, because he plays also the Sicilian as black, and now he feels more familiar with his openings. And I've talked about this topic in one of my basics in chess series, how to learn less chess theory and still have a good opening repertoire. I'll send you the link of that video at the end of this video, so you can see how you can really try to learn less of chess theory and still really have a good opening preparations. These are these variations. Basically, you're playing the Sicilian as black, you're playing the English opening as white, so you're playing basically similar openings, similar opening lines. So this is very good, I think. So in the continuation, item c6 g3. So you see Brock is going into a reversed Sicilian setup. We have e6 and now bishop on g2, knight on f6, knight on f3, still common theory. And here Brock's opponent should have played maybe the move d5, and after he played the move d6 instead of that. And here I think you should immediately realize black's weaknesses, because this is not such a healty pawn structure. I think the most aggressive way to continue here is to play the move d4. These are the ideas of this English opening. After c takes d4, knight takes on d4, and e5. You see, this is very bad now for black. If he tries to kick away your knight from the center, you can play something like, I don't know, knight on b5, a6. Then after knight on a3, you can place knight on c2 and prevent your opponent to create an outpost here on d4, and still you have this possibilities to play the knight or bishop on d5, because this squared on d5 is very weak. This pawn on d6 is also very weak. So these are our main targets in the continuation of the game. So instead of that d6, here Brock played this double fianchetto. And although it seems good, it's not so dangerous, I think, because again you're allowing your opponent maybe to play the move d5 immediately. But okay, we have bishop on d7, and now bishop on b2, and now bishop on e7. Still, you see both of the players are trying to develop the pieces, which is very good. I like Brock's setup. He didn't play with the same piece twice, which is very good. He's playing on the main principles in the openings. So here he castled. Basically what he wants to do is somehow move the queen and really finish his development. So that's why I'm really glad that he applied this very important principles, and that's why of course he deserves all of our respect. In the continuation of the game here, you see his opponent makes sort of a slight inaccuracy with the move h6. This h6 doesn't prevent anything, it's unnecessary pawn move, and I've talked also about this unnecessary pawn moves in my basics in chess series. Still, you're leaving now this opportunity for white to break through in the center, which Brock now finally did with the move d4. We have knight takes on d4, knight takes on d4, c takes, and queen takes d4. And you see now white's activity of the pieces is very good. The bishops are good diagonals, the knight is on a healthy square, the queen is on a centralized square, which is also good. Again, if you try to kick away the queen with the move e5, you're leaving some spaces behind, you're leaving some weak squares, weak spawns behind. So that's why the queen here, although it's centralized, it's not endangered, so you can kick away the queen, but it doesn't bring you so much. So and I remember, I know now Brock for 1.5 years or even more, and I know how he started to play chess, and he wasn't familiar with anything. You see how he plays now this healthy chess, which I'm really proud that he applied now all of the systems. You see he played with all of these pieces just once, perfect coordination of pieces, perfect development. So here after bishop on c6, grabbing even some more space with the move e4, so building sort of a more oxybine setup, which I like. Again, our main target is this d6 weakness, and here e5 was played, and there are some also immediate ideas here instead of e4. If you don't want to play this more oxybine setup, because this d6 pawn is our main weakness, you can try to attack it immediately, although you cannot take it immediately, but this could be your main target. If your opponent tries to take, you can just improve the position of your king, and here after castling we can play simply knight on b5. So you basically, your opponent is forced to play the move d5. You see he has to advance the pawn after c takes d5, queen takes d5, queen takes, knight takes, and now e4, here knight on f6, and now we can really block out this knight. This knight is useless here, and it cannot jump on any active squares. If your opponent tries to kick away, we can play something like knight on a3 after b5. We can now occupy both of these open files. We're faster in this occupying of files. This is very important. So see, you can simplify the position but have a good advantage. So that's why, although e4 is good, but I think a direct attack against this d6 weakness would be a good one, a good idea, because as I said, black has lost some tempos with the move h6. He still needs this castling in order to secure his king, so that's why I would go simply for this d6 weakness. So e5, you see, black was annoyed by this centralized queen. If you just maybe flip the board a little bit, if you could just imagine now this position from black's perspective, this queen really seems annoying. You don't know what to do with it, and that's why here e5. And this was really provocative moves by Brock, because he now forced really black to do this e5 move. And what I didn't like, this is now the first move that I didn't like by Brock, and it's the move queen on d1. When you get attacked, try to find at least some counterplay. First of all, you should try to find counterattacks. Of course, here counterattacks are not possible. Maybe you could have some tactical shots. When you get attacked, you should always try to search for tactical shots. Of course, here it's not possible, but in some positions it's possible. But if you have to retreat, retreat to the best active square. Don't retreat to your back rank, because the queen's activity is now worse. You haven't improved the position. Better squares are, of course, queen on d3, queen on d2, or even queen on e3. So you had like 3 squares where you could retreat with your queen, and here Brock really retreated to the worst square, queen on d1. Again, you have to play another move with the queen in order to connect the rooks, and the rook connection is very, very important in the continuation of the game. So queen on d1 I really don't like, although white is on the advantage here, but here with queen on d3 or d2 you're staying on the advantage. You can again play something like, let's see, after queen on d3 castling, again you can play something like rook from a to d1 or rook from f to d1 in order to attack this d6 weakness, again with some possibilities, knight on b5 and similar stuff. So as said, queen on d1, I think it's a mistake here. A6 played by Brock's opponent, and here you see rook on c1. So this is a very good move, because Brock sensed that black is going to do this b5 move, and if the position opens, we want, of course, to have a rook on an open or semi-open file, which is very good feeling of in chess here by Brock. And here b5 was played by his opponent, and now knight on d5. Also very good, I think, because this knight on d5 hop, it's really its name, this knight on d5 hop in the Maroksian bind, is a common idea to occupy this center square, and here Brock's opponent finally castled, and we have now f4. f4 I really like, because you see black was playing too passively with his pieces, and he didn't play on any counterplay. We want, of course, to have this connection of pawns here. We want to have a flexible pawn structure, and here after bishop takes on d5 we have the c takes d5, and now queen on b6. It's not a problem, we can simply go king on h1, and now e takes f4 was played by black. And here I talked with Brock about this moment. This is now the decisive moment in the continuation of the game. Here Brock took with the rook on f4, and it's not a mistake. It's you're still on the advantage. You haven't lost anything, but you're giving maybe your opponent the opportunity to play sort of a counterplay after maybe knight on d7. Here you can play rook on c6, which is the most aggressive way, and here after queen on b8, here rook on f1, f2 can be played. But now you see, after knight on e5, bishop takes on e5, and d takes e5, although white is better here. I'm not saying that that's too bad that Brock has taken this pawn with the rook, but now after some kind of this moves, the position is much more simplified. We have this opposite colored bishops. You still have to battle for a win here, but I think g takes f4 here instead of rook takes on f4. G takes f4, it's much more powerful. Now decisive move is this e5 move. If you try something like knight on d7 now, it's game over, because we can play simply even bishop on g7 here after king takes queen on g4, or we can simply play e5. So you see, this is very hard to handle now. These two pawns are supported by these bishops. These pawns are restricting many squares here on black's 6th rank. So I don't know what to do here from black's perspective. Now our ideas could be maybe rook on c6, really playing aggressively, or maybe queen on g4 with some discovered attacks here in order to liberate these diagonals for the bishops, or even d6. It's very dangerous. You see how important this mobile pawn structure in the center is. So as said, here g takes f4 in order to have these 3 connected pawns in the center, creating sort of a pawn storm, is, I think, a huge advantage here on the continuation of the middle game. But okay, it's here Brock took rook takes on f4, and now rook on e8, and now rook on c6. Also very good. This is now important to kick away the queen, and here I just want you to imagine now the position if we had the queen maybe on d2 and the rook on f1. and this connection of these 3 pawns. Now we could really connect the rooks on the c file, and that are these 2 mistakes, because Brock retreated with the queen on d1, and also he played with this rook on f4. Now we could really have 2 powerful rooks on this open c file. So you see how this inaccuracies or mistakes cost you in the continuation of the game. Although as I said, black is losing here in this position, but I wanted to point you out that you always have to find this better ideas, find this better continuations. Here after rook on c6, queen on d8 was played, and now queen on d4, and this is this I'd like to call it this chess addictions in chess, because sometimes you have seen a good game in which maybe Garry Kasparov or I don't know, Magnus Carlsen have really checkmated, and you saw this game and you told yourself, this is great chess. He really played this aggressive checkmate threat, but you get addicted by these games, and you want to copy these games. You want to copy maybe this attacking formations that you have seen. Here immediate checkmate threat is not possible, because black has good defensive resources, and white has continued now after rook takes on f4 with the weakness, and white has this backward pawn. So from black's perspective, you see black can cement this knight, try to cement it somehow on the square e5, and basically the only piece that can kick away this knight from e5 is this bishop, which is our best piece on the board. So there are defensive resources here for black, although of course you cannot do it immediately because we have checkmate threats, but these checkmate threats have to be prepared even more and more. And here after rook on c8, here we have bishop on h3, and now rook on c6. We have now d takes c6, and now you see Brock had the opportunity to have the 3 connected pawns. Now he has 2 isolated pawns, so he has created many weaknesses. And now knight on h5 was played, a rook queen on c3, staying on this diagonal. But you see, this can even be prevented with moves as f6, of course, if the position allows it. So this checkmate threat, it has to be clear. You have to see this checkmate threat that your opponent, if you have checkmate threats, that your opponent cannot play any counter plays. Here you see queen on c7 was playing first on the blockade against this pawn, which is very good, I think, and now bishop on g4, which is now a decisive mistake, because knight on f6 was played, bishop on f6, and here you lose material. Rook takes on f6 had to be played, and now knight takes on f6. A better continuation instead of bishop on g4 is of course bishop on d7. At least you're playing on a counterplay, and after bishop on f6 you have rook takes on f6, knight takes on f6, but now we can grab at least also rook, and here knight on e8, and that's the problem. Now after bishop on f6, here after bishop on g4, bishop on f6, you have to take the rook, knight takes on f6, and now bishop on f5. It's still playable here for white, but you see you have problems. You have now really troubles, and here b4 was played. Okay, black made also now mistake, but I don't see a way how you're gonna kick away this knight from this very nice f6 square. How you're gonna checkmate your opponent. Here after b4, queen on c4 was played, and now d5, which is a good thing, because now black opened the position to the king, and now rook on e1 was played, king on g2, and here black makes decisive mistakes. Knight on h5. This is not good, of course, because we have g5. You have to play here knight on f4 or knight on f6 again. Brock also made a mistake here. Instead of g4, he should have played, now finally the knight has left the defense. Now you should play really d6. If queen takes on d6, now we have c7, and you see how dangerous these 2 connected pawns are now on this 6th rank. And I've talked also many times about these 2 connected pass pawns on the 6th or 3rd rank from black's perspective. These are really dangerous things in chess. You see now after queen takes on d6, you can simply go and promote the queen because you don't have any threats here. If your opponent tries rook on e2, we can simply hide with the king on h3. If your opponent takes the queen on f3, you have here even c8 checkmate. So as said, g4 brings back again black into the game, and here after knight on f4, king on f3 had to be played, and now knight on g6. This is not good. This is a mistake because now finally bishop takes on g6. You cannot take, of course, f takes g6 because you get this very annoying check on d6. So queen on e7 had to be played. Now bishop takes on f7. Very nice tactics here, deflecting. Now finally we want to trade off the queens and have these two connected pass pawns, because if we connect these pawns, then this rook cannot catch these pawns anymore. Here king on h8 was played, bishop on g7, also very nice. King takes on g7, and now bishop on e6. Here queen on f6 was played, bishop on f5, queen on c3 with a check, bishop on d3. Very nice defensive play here by Brock. Here queen takes on c4, bishop takes on c4, and now rook on a1. This was now a decisive mistake because we can simply push forward. c7, rook on f1. We have king on e4, rook on f8, bishop on a6, rook on a8, and now promotion to queen. This is of course game over here. Let's see the next moves. King on f6, we have bishop on e6, king on g5, d6, king on f6, and now king on d5, and in this position black resigned. So as said, these are decisive moments, I think. Here rook on f4, but let's go back even to this moment. So when you get attacked, never retreat to your back rank, never retreat that your piece is again defensive. Here you have to retreat, maybe queen on d3, queen on d2, staying actively with your queen on d2. Again, you have the rook connection, which is very important. Rook on d1, rook on c1 can be played, so we would have then a perfect attack. So as said, retreating to the back rank is not good. The queen is now on the starting square, and I would also point out this very important moment here to take rook takes on f4 is okay. White is still better here, but here after g takes f4, black I think really can resign, because now you have these three mobile pawns. It's basically undefendable here. After knight on d7, you have this tactics, bishop on g7, but here I wanted to show you this particular continuation. These two pawns are supported, they're mobile, they're restricting, they can create some breakthroughs in the position. You can now play really freely with your queen. Queen on g4 is possible, and similar ideas. And if you try something like f5 in order to create a blockade, you see black will lose the opportunity to battle somehow against these pawns. So these pawns are really deadly. So when you have the opportunity to connect these pawns in the center and still have a good support of these pawns, try it, because these pawns are basically like two pieces here, and they're unbeatable. Okay, Brock, I hope I could have helped you with this game. It was still, I think, a great game because you applied this very good opening principles. Still, there's of course room for improvement here. I hope you realize this advantages that you should maybe improve in the continuation of the game, but nevertheless it was really a great game after that, with this very nice promotion, with this very nice two connected pawns. You see how these two connected pawns were very important in the end game. They are also very important in the middle game, and I hope you can apply it in many of your future games, because I think you have some potential, and I wish you all of the best in the continuation of your chess. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this game. I enjoyed Brock's game because he's really cool guy. If you have troubles with some openings, send me your PGNs. I'll try to publish as much as I can of these games. We'll have, I think, many of them, and as I also said, I cannot publish all of them because I don't have so much time. I have also some other things on my YouTube chess channel. Meanwhile, you can watch my basics in chess series, which are very important. Here's the link to that videos. I have created about 85 videos with the main principles in chess. Check it out. I think you can really improve through these videos, and you can also subscribe to my channel if you like this content, guys. Thanks you for watching, and chess is the best, of course.